Alright YouTube, this is going to be an exciting video. I'm going to do some more work on the supercharger project today. I've quit pouting about it and I'm just going to get on with it and get some stuff done. The good news is that I've had some time to rethink the design a little bit and I've come up with a few solutions that will make it a little bit more compact, a little tidier when it's done, and actually a little easier to build in a couple of ways because there will be a few pieces that I don't need to make. I was out on my BMX today for the first time since I got my concussion, and all went pretty well. I did have a little bit of a spill. I will insert the clip here. As you can see, by the end of the clip, I walked away with a smile. I have a little bit of a sore palm and a little bump on my elbow, but I was able to escape that one pretty unscathed. It's good to crash every now and then to remind yourself that you're not made out of glass and that you can fall down a set of stairs and cripple yourself. But for the most part, if you learn how to fall and you do it frequently like I do, crash like that you walk away from laughing about it. Anyway, enough about BMX, let's get on with this build. I had planned on using a 1/4 inch plate on this side of the manifold and a 1/2 inch plate on this side of the manifold. The reason why I was going to use a 1/2 inch plate on this side is because I would have a nice solid place to mount a belt tensioner to. Well, now the belt tensioner and a bearing carrier and a bunch of other stuff is going to be on this side of the manifold. I had planned on using dowels through the top row of mounts, so that I could weld the dowel in place, drill a hole through it, and then I could use a long bolt to go all the way from out here into the holes in the engine. Instead of using the dowels, I was just thinking to myself that this is 1/2 inch plate and this is 1/2 inch dowel that I was going to use. So instead of using the 1/2 inch dowel on the outside rows, what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to mount it on the end centered with the bolt holes into the engine. So that's going to give me a perfect transition for the intake port, and it's also going to give me a nice solid place to put the bolt holes through into the back plate for the intake manifold. I still will have to use the dowels for the two inside holes, but alright, I'm just going to use a utility knife here to mark this. Hillbilly method of lining this up. All right, we're there. Tighten this up and I should be good to go. Boom, and we're done. In order to make sure that I'm going to be able to get sockets on there, what I'm going to do is mark a line along here, like that. And this line is basically the limit of how far down I can come. Transfer that line over to this. Now these pieces go on there and the socket will be able to clear. So that's based on the ordeal that I had with the supercharger. I'm very strongly considering bolting it on. What I'm probably going to do, or what I'm going to attempt to do, is run some dowel from here down through the manifold so that I can run some long bolts up into it. It's gonna come down like that. I don't even know where the hole actually is, but it's gonna come something like that. which actually isn't going to work because it's going to block the path of this. I decided to fall back on an idea that both myself and Mitchell, I won't try to say your last name, but in one of my last videos, one of my viewers named Mitchell commented and said, why don't you mount the supercharger to a plate and then mount that plate to the top of the manifold? And that's exactly what I'm going to do. One of the reasons why I didn't choose that method of installation in the first place is because the heads of the bolts stick down below the supercharger. I'm going to have to cut out a hole big enough around here so that the heads of the bolts will actually fit down into this plate. I don't really know, but it's not quite as simple as it might seem. Yeah, that also means that I need to buy another piece of 1/4-inch plate. I really don't know what I'm going to do. Alright YouTube, it is the next day. I went to bed a little bit disappointed about not figuring something out. And then while I was laying there in bed, I came up with a solution to my problems. This is probably going to be hard to explain, so I'm going to do my best at trying to explain it a little bit, and then I'm probably just going to start building things, because I think I'm at one of those points, one of those crossroads where I just need to start putting stuff together, and the rest of it will come to me. So what I plan on doing is leaving the supercharger bolted to the plate that it's currently bolted to, and the plate that it's currently bolted to will be removable. However, instead of having to change everything and gaining a bunch of height, what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to use some of this stuff, and this will actually get attached in here on the manifold, and this will create the seal. So the insides of the manifold, this piece and the outer piece, will be welded to this, which will fit in there, and then the supercharger top plate, or top of the manifold, will actually get bolted on. And I think I'm going to try to run a 1/4-inch strip along the front here so that I can put a couple of bolts in here as well. Now that I have a line scribed on the bottom of this, I'm going to use my belt sander to sand an angle onto this, about a 45-degree angle, so that when I'm welding, I'll have a nice spot to lay the bead into. I'm not sure if the camera can pick that up, but I've ground a nice angle on there. Alright. It was going pretty well, and then I bumped the plate with my rod, which made it move, and I panicked. Let's see if this one goes any better. Much better. I can remove a couple of bolts and do some measuring and build the plate for the top. Okay, even though I'm definitely not proud of these welds, I will show you guys my tack welds. That one was my first one. This one was the second one. I tried to dab the rod in before it was hot enough, and it made that mess. And then this is the second side. This is the first one I did on this side, and then this is the last one that I did. All right. Made a mess of that. Didn't have the angle of my hand right, or my helmet right. This should be propped up on something. that I'm not looking. Yeah. All right, this should work. All right, that went pretty well. I'm not pointing the camera in the right way. Well, that went pretty well. I think I got decent penetration. Pretty happy with that. What do we do next? I gotta measure this gap out accurately and make a piece for the top. Let's see, it's going to be 185 millimeters by 115 millimeters. This next piece required a little higher level of precision than some other pieces. So I've spent a whole bunch of time off camera chamfering the edges. I'm not sure if the camera can pick this up, but I actually ground an angle into each end of this plate. And that matches with the angles that I ground into that. So this will fit together, well, it'll fit together perfectly this way. Like that, and sit perfectly flat. So this is going to get tacked into place with it sitting on a plate like that to hold it perfectly in place. And then it will have to get extremely carefully welded into place like this. This is going to be very difficult because I'm going to be trying to fuse 1/2 inch, which is 500 thousandths, to 80 thousandths material, and so the tendency is going to be to completely blow a hole through this and not even heat this up. I've come to the part of the project where I'm going to have to fill these holes in, and the reason for that is until I fill these holes in, I can't drill the new holes because they're too close to the old ones, and until I drill the new holes, I won't know where the heads of the bolts are going to be. And without knowing that, I can't know where I'm going to run my other plate to. I've never filled a hole like that with a welder before, let alone aluminum welding, so yeah. Okay, in order to try and do this, I'm going to try to crank the frequency way up to try to focus my arc exactly where I want it. Don't know if that's going to work, but it seems that it makes the most sense. Okay, I have no idea what that looks like on the other side, but I got it filled pretty well from here. I don't think it went very deep. It went deeper than I thought it did. It turned out better than I thought it did. Okay. I don't know if I got it perfect, but I got it pretty close to perfect. So yeah, I was able to actually connect the pool of molten metal from this side to the filler that I put in from the other side. So yeah, that's really good news. All right, I just got done watching the latest episode of the Grand Tour, which is the Massive Hunt. And yeah, had a snack at 4 thousandths. That's snug. All right, there we go. I've now marked out the line where that needs to be, so now I know where this plate has to go. Instead of trying to do maths and figure out the angle, I'm going to mark a line where it meets from here. Okay, so now all I need to do is mark this piece, let's see, here. No, the bottom of that, so here. All right, that is going to go there. And then this piece will get fed into there. So when I go to take measurements for other things, critical measurements, if everything isn't exactly where it needs to be, then those measurements will be off a little bit. And if I get a few of those measurements that don't add up, all of a sudden I've got a very big problem. So I'm going to try to tack this into place. Let's see what happens here. Okay. It worked. Built up a blob, tried to make it flow. It didn't flow, and I dipped. Given what I had to weld together, I think that turned out exceptionally well. I was afraid of burning through this so much that I don't think I put quite enough heat into it, but in this case it doesn't really matter. I'm probably going to be welding that from the inside as well. And it's going to get machined off on the outside. I basically want to build everything up enough so that I can machine it off flat, and it will be my gasket surface. So that one went really well. Check this out. Look at that weld. Alright, jet ski fans, I think this is a pretty good place to end the video. I would have liked to get more done, but it is Saturday at 11 p.m. and I want to get this video out for Sunday. When I started the video, I had no idea what I was going to do with the manifold, and now not only do I have some stuff tacked on, but I actually have some stuff welded in place, so this manifold is well underway. There's no turning back on a lot of it now. If I screwed something up majorly, then I will be buying new material and starting over. But I think it's gone pretty well. I've got the water jacket cut out for the inside. I made this in an earlier video, and this will be getting a hole cut in it there. This will slide in, and this is what will feed the water into the water jacket there. In the next video, I'll probably be cutting out the holes for the air intake. And if everything goes really well, we'll get the actual pieces welded on the outside here. After that, I will have to machine this stuff down, drill and tap holes in the top, and then actually fit the supercharger onto the top of this. I'm not sure exactly what the next video will be. I might be getting some parts for the 1100 soon and do some work on that. I might do some more work on the 650 exhaust build, but more than likely the next video that you guys will see will be this, because I'm kind of on a roll. And I'm feeling pretty, feeling pretty pleased about the progress that I made, considering I had no idea where I was going with this. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.